the chair is really the only place in Pilates in the repertoire that I know of where you're actually ending up on one leg. Now you can do a little dismount with any of the exercises and stand on one leg. That's fine, and make it look like, you know, a fancy little dismount. But if you're just doing the simple exercises that are suggested in the PMA study guide, there's only one exercise that actually stands on one leg. And I think that's a problem. And we need to be thinking about that in our Pilates mat classes, in our Pilates lessons with people, in our rehabilitation with people, is that we really need to be adding in that component because I think that's missing in Pilates. It's a very important part of fitness, and it's a very important part of fall prevention. And it needs to start right away. I mean, you look at 20-year-olds and you have 20-year-olds stand on one leg and they're not that great at it. If they haven't been a dancer or a gymnast or some athlete that requires balance. Surfers are usually pretty good. You know, I get 20-year-old boys in here and they do great. They stand on one leg, no problem if they surf or skateboard, you know, something like that. So we definitely need to be adding that in. The other issue with balance is that when we stand on one leg and you think about, you know, putting uneven surfaces under there, you work your legs. I mean, you work your muscles, and that's weight bearing. So doing exercises standing on one leg, I think, is a great idea, you know, for bone building and for fall prevention. So you can accomplish two tasks at once. I used to say to kill two birds with one stone, but I really don't want to kill any birds. So I got to stop saying that. So many unmodified Pilates exercises can be used to incorporate balance training in a patient's program or a client's program, but we do need to kind of make sure that we have the people standing on one leg at some point. If we're doing the standing leg pumps on the chair, we can just tell them to lift their leg up and stay there for 10 seconds before or after they do it. So, and the other thing we need to think about is, when do we incorporate balance into a patient's program? Do we do it at the beginning? Do we do it at the end? You know, because sometimes at the end they're tired and they're kind of falling all over the place. So then they don't feel successful and they feel a little depressed at the end of their session. So we want to make sure we end sessions with something that people are able to do, that is nice and simple, that makes them feel good, and not something that is difficult. So how many original Pilates mat exercises are done in single leg stance? So we already answered that question. Basically none, but could be one if you did the push-up, walking out to the push-up on one leg. One of the things that Stephen Lord found in December 2003 when he looked at vision, balance, and falls in the elderly was that falls were the leading cause of injury-related death and hospitalization in people aged 75 and older. It wasn't heart disease, it was falls. So heart disease is way up there, but in people 75 and older is what he was looking at. So we definitely need to be thinking about that because our population is getting older. So here's the progression of balance that we need to be thinking about. Supported positions, prone, side lying, supine, and then basically progressing up to quadruped, to half kneeling, like the marriage proposal position, and then full kneeling, which is 2 knees down, then standing on one leg, and then standing on unstable surfaces like this gentleman's doing here. The air-filled disc, the wobble boards, the balance boards, even standing on a pillow or squishy mats. Pillows at home work great for people to practice their balance at home if they're safe doing it. And the good news is that a balance training program was highly effective in improving the functional status and reducing risk of falls. And that was 2007 study that was done by Madura. And what I think about optimal health is that this is what people lose when they get older, is hip extension, which is the ability to reach back through your hip joint, and thoracic spine extension, which is the ability to do this. Because when people get older, what happens? They flex at their hips, they round at their back, and then that's when they need a cane because it's too hard to hold themselves up. So if we can help people preserve their hip extension and their thoracic extension, to me, that's giving them the fountain of youth. So